This lesson is on inequalities and their graphs, and the essential question is, how do you graph inequalities in one variable? First, you have to understand what the graph of an inequality is, and that is one variable on a number line, such as n is less than or equal to 8. The solution of an inequality is a value that makes the inequality true. So in the example, n is less than or equal to 8, then 7 would be true. So let's look at some of the symbols. If w is less than 1, less than is one of the ways we might say that. Another inequality we might have is that x is greater than 2. We could have that y is less than or equal to 3. And finally, our last inequality is that z is greater than or equal to 4. There are alternate ways of writing each of these inequalities. W is less than 1 could also be said that 1 is greater than w. X is greater than 2 could be that 2 is less than x, and so on down the line. It's important for graphing purposes to put the variable first. This is going to let you follow that arrow. So with w is less than 1, I can put a 1 on a number line and an arrow pointing left, the same direction as the arrow in w is less than 1. But it does not work with 1 is greater than w. We would have an open dot and a solid line. X is greater than 2, we would graph an open dot with a solid line pointing to the right, and w is less than or equal to 3, we'll have a solid dot and arrow pointing left, and finally z is greater than or equal to 4 will give us a solid dot and an arrow pointing to the right. But there is a special rule when dealing with inequalities. So we have 3 cases here. In the first case, we divide both sides by 2, where 2 was positive, and we find that if we test when x is 0, 0 is less than 2, so that would make a true statement. But if I tested negative x is less than 4 and divided both sides by negative 2, I would get x is greater than negative 2. In this case, I switched the sign, which is a known sign. By testing when x is 0, it is true. But if I don't flip that sign, then I get x is less than negative 2. And again, testing when x is 0, this gives a false result. Why is that? When we multiply or divide by a negative, we need to flip that sign. In effect, we're kind of reversing the polarity when we multiply or divide by a negative. So to help when it comes to graphing, it is helpful to always write the variable, an inequality symbol, and then the number. That will make it easier to follow the arrow.